mascots, it's time for the next part of our Be Prepared, Not Scared badge. With this part, we're going to focus a lot on food and water in an emergency situation. And if you remember the last time that we spoke, we talked about shelter. Shelter is your number one priority. As soon as you get that all set up, you need to focus on your supplies that you're going to need for in an emergency. Number one supply that you'll need is water. Water is one of the most important things you need because according to the rule of threes, we can only survive 3 days without clean water to drink or use in your cooking. So why would we need to make sure we're covered on water? Well, if you're in your campsite or in your home and a water main breaks outside, that means water is not getting to your house or your campsite anymore. Also, if something happens and the water is contaminated, and it has things that we should not be drinking or putting into our body, then we need to find out ways to clean the water to make it safe to drink and use in cooking. So if we don't have water coming to our house or our campsite, what should we do? Well, the first thing is to make sure you have an emergency stash of water put aside in your house somewhere, enough for 14 days for your family. How much is that? You need to find out. Do the research and figure out how much water you're going to need. And it should be stored in some sort of containers. Bottled water is great. You could buy the cases or the big jugs of water as well. But you need to find out how much water you're going to need in an emergency for up to 14 days. But what if we don't have that? What if we don't have enough water for us for 14 days and we really need it? Well, there's a lot of different hidden areas in your house that you can use for secret places of water. One of those areas is your ice machine. Your ice machine and your ice maker has tons of water, it's just all frozen. So just go ahead and take that ice out of the freezer and you're gonna melt it on up and you have hidden water. The next place is your water heater. If you have one of the big tank full of water heaters, all you have to do is unscrew the valve at the bottom of the water heater and all the water will be pouring out. Sometimes there's some sediment in there. It's okay because it's gonna filter and layer out and all the water on top is great to drink and use for cooking. Another one, kind of a little gross, but it's completely clean, is our toilet? No, not the water in the bowl, but the water up on top in the tank. That's all fresh and clean water for you to use. So those are 3 different places that you could find water in your home if you didn't have any water to use. Now, what if your water is dirty? Sometimes, if water is dirty or contaminated, the city or the local government officials will post a boil effect for your water. And the first thing that we can do for our boiling of or boil effect for your water, that just means we need to clean your water before you use it in drinking and cooking. Usually that water is okay to bathe in and take a shower in, so that's okay. But if you're going to be drinking it or using it in cooking, you need to do one of 3 things. The first one is boiling your water. If you could see behind me, I have a nice kettle right here, and my water has been boiling. You only need to boil your water for about 60 seconds, so just a minute, and that's going to kill a lot of the contaminants and the microbes in your water. It's not going to kill everything, but it should make it safe enough in order for you to eat or cook with it and drink it. Now, if you decide to do this one, because one of the requirements is that you use one of the processes to clean your water, if you decide to boil your water, let it cool down after it's done boiling, and as soon as that's cooled down, take a taste, because it might taste a little stale. And stale means that when you boil your water, a lot of the oxygen has left your water, so it doesn't really taste that great. There's a good way to fix it. You're going to take your containers of boiled water, and you're going to take an empty container, and you're going to pour the water back and forth between the containers. When you do that, it's called oxygenating your water. Now, take a taste. Your water should taste much better, and make sure that before you store your water, you oxygenate your water so it has a nice, great taste after that. So step number 2, what if we don't have a working oven or we don't have a working microwave in order to boil our water? Well, that's okay, because we can chlorinate our water. So how we chlorinate, we will need 1 gallon of water. We will need bleach, and this bleach should not have any scents. It shouldn't be extra strong. It shouldn't have ultra whitening. It should just be plain old bleach. And we need 1/8 teaspoon. Now, if you see this, this is super, super tiny. This is the tiniest spoon ever. Now, with some supervision, because bleach is not a very good chemical to work with, you will take your bleach and you will measure very carefully 1/8 teaspoon per gallon of water. As soon as you put that in, you're going to stir it all up nicely. And this is going to kill all of the germs that could have been in that water. It's not really going to smell very good. If you decide to do the chlorination, take a whiff. It does smell a little bit like bleach, but this is actually very safe to drink and cook with, and it's killed all of the germs that were inside of it. If you were to just drink this on its own, that is very dangerous and poisonous to you, and it will put you in the hospital really, really quickly. So make sure that you do this with adult supervision if you are going to chlorinate your water. Okay, so we've boiled our water and we've chlorinated our water. The next thing that we could do is distill our water. Distilling our water actually takes out any of the contaminants that could be in our water, like metals or salts or something really heavy in your water that you just can't get out of with boiling. So the best way to do that is a project. What I've done is I've taken one of my camp mugs and I've tied it to a string, and then I've tied that to a pot lid. You're going to fill up your pot with halfway full with water, and you're going to put the lid right on top, and you're going to boil it for 20 minutes. And I'm going to show you what that looks like. So make sure that you have proper pot holders and whatnot to make this happen. You're going to remove your cup, and we're going to put this back. And most of my water right now in that pot has turned into steam. When steam goes up into the pot and then cools, it drips back down, and then it will drip back down into your cup. This is a very long process to get a lot of water, but if you're in a pinch and you just don't have anything, this is the best way to go. So I didn't get that much water, but this is the safest and most clean water to use in an emergency if your water is contaminated. You cool this down, and it's good to drink, and it's good to use in cooking. So that is how you distill water. If you decide to do this project requirement, you need to pick one of these items and do one of those items in order to clean your water. So next up, we have our water taken care of. We have nice clean water now. We have enough water for a couple weeks for our families. What about food? Everybody loves food. What are you going to eat in an emergency? Well, you get to make your own wish list of what you want to pack in an emergency situation and have a food stash ready to go for that. What kind of food can we use? Well, let's talk about the difference between perishable and non-perishable foods. Because there are certain items that you can't have in an emergency because they're just going to go bad eventually. So let's talk about perishable. Perishable means they go bad. So here's a list, an example, of items that are perishable. Bread, super not good to hold on to for a long time. It gets moldy, it gets stale, it doesn't last a long time. So this is probably not a good idea to put in your garage for a few months. What about fruit? It's delicious, but it goes bad fairly quickly. So if you have fruit in your stash in the garage for a long time, it's gonna get moldy, it's gonna get brown, it's gonna get rotten. You don't wanna bring fruit into your emergency supply stash. Girl Scout cookies? Nope, not even Girl Scout cookies. These are very perishable. Within a few months, you try to open up one of these boxes, it's gonna taste really off and really weird, and they do go bad. So Girl Scout cookies are perishable. Meat. Well, this is frozen, so frozen meat is great, but what if your refrigerator or your freezer does not work? If meat is kept out in a room temperature for a long time, it's gonna spoil and go very bad very quickly. So if you don't have a freezer, meat is not a good thing to keep as an item. Anything dairy, like an egg or cheese or milk, if you decide to put all that in the garage for a few months, it's gonna get stinky. So anything dairy-wise, not a good idea. Okay, so those are the things we should not have in our emergency stash. What about the things that we should have? Really good items that last a long time. Cereal. Cereal is great. It doesn't last forever, it does have an expiration date, but it does last for a long time, so it's a really great way to hold on to things and have food for you. Dried pasta is another one. It does have an expiration date, but it lasts for a long time, so you can have this as a side for any meals that you're going to need while you're in your shelter. The best ones, though, are anything in jars or cans. A jar of spaghetti sauce to go along with that spaghetti, this is perfect. It's gonna last you a long time and you're gonna be able to use it for your dinners. Canned soup, this is one of the best items ever. This will last you forever and you'll be able to use this in an emergency for a very long time. If you're not sure if your canned goods are okay for you to eat because they've been in the garage for a couple of years, always check the very top. If the top of your cans have a little bubble on it and you can push down and make it wiggle, that means your canned food is bad. Canned vegetables and fruits are perfect as well. So make sure you have plenty of these in your emergency food supply and you put it on your list. What kind of fruit, what kind of vegetables, what kind of dinners are you going to want to use? And make sure you make sure when you do that list, you send it to me so I know what your secret stash food is. So a really cool way to take food that is perishable, and if you want to save it, a really cool way to do that is to dehydrate it. And the best things to dehydrate food are fruit and meat. So I have this delicious looking apple. And this apple is great, but it's not going to last a long time. So if you're in an emergency and you want to make this apple last a long time, what you're going to do is you're going to dehydrate it. I have a link below of a YouTube video on detailed instructions on how to dehydrate any fruit, and I'm going to go over what I did as well. So I took this apple and I sliced it up really, really thin, and I put it in the oven on 200 degrees, and it's been in the oven for a couple hours now. And that's how you're going to dehydrate your fruit. You can do this with all sorts of fruits. Bananas, apples, berries, peaches, mangoes, all sorts. I would love to see what you come up with, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. So now my apples have been dehydrating for the last 2 hours, and when they come out of the oven, they're gonna look a lot like this. Very, very dried up fruit. As soon as I take them out of the oven, I'm gonna let them cool, and I'm gonna put them in a plastic container, but I'm not gonna cover it. I'm gonna leave it out on the counter for a couple of days, let it dry, kind of shake it up every once in a while, and make sure all of the moisture is out of that fruit. And then I can store it in my pantry, and it will last for a very long time. This is a great treat that you can have in an emergency, and it's a great snack to have just in general. It's full of vitamins and it's full of really great sweetness in order to make your shelter a little bit more positive. So, your goal is to dehydrate a piece of fruit, and I would love to see what you come up with. Make sure you look at that YouTube video. So now that we've covered food and water for being prepared in an emergency, we're better prepared to know what to do, and we're not going to be scared while we do it. As always, it is such a wonderful treat to see you, Girl Scouts. I can't wait to talk about the next topic, which will be communicating in an emergency, and we will see you soon. Take care, Girl Scouts.